Okay, at this point you've learned enough that we can have a little bit of fun. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is something that's called JS Fiddle. And all you need to do is go to jsfiddle.net. And what this is it's an online development area where you can go in and you can try out your JavaScript. And it's really easy because it's got a lot of nice little features to it. It allows you to put in your HTML and your JavaScript and everything all kind of in one area, and allows you that if you're playing with a new JavaScript file, see if it works properly without having to screw up a normal environment. I would recommend that you make an account in it. The other nice thing about it is you can take and once you've created something in it, it builds a little repository for you, and you can take and you can share that link. So it's great for down the road when you want to show someone your work, or if you need help with something, you can always send it to me real quick just through a link if you want to do it through Slack or whatever you'd like. So let's get started. What this is really for, like I said, is I want to show you guys something fun that you can do. And so we're going to write a little program that lets you play the good old classic rock, paper, and scissors game with your computer. So first of all, we need to write in a little bit of HTML so we have something to work off of. And I realize you may not know everything in here, but you know at this point you know basic functions, you know basic loops, and that's really all you really need to do this. And admittedly, there's probably better ways to do it, but at this point in where you've learned JavaScript, this is probably the best way to do it. So let's get started. First of all, like I said, we're going to need to write a little bit of HTML. So we're going to put in rock, paper, scissors. Put in a paragraph tag. Play a good old game of rock, paper, and scissors with the computer. Okay, then we're also going to need a div with a class of button. And inside of that we want to put input type equals button. ID equals message button with a value of click to play. Okay, over here, real quick, let's just do a little bit of CSS to make it look a little better. And we'll do h1, p, and class of button. And basically we're just going to give it a text align of center. So nothing real special. And so right now we're just going to get our rock, paper, scissors, play a good old game of rock, paper, and scissors with the computer. And we have a problem over here. We forgot to close that. And we forgot an equal sign in here. Okay, that looks better. Right now it doesn't do anything, but we'll get there with our JavaScript. Okay, so let's start writing some JavaScript. So the first thing we need to do is we need to call a document.getElement by ID. And the element that we want to do is get the message button. And then we also want to tell it is on click equals play. Now what we're doing right now is we're basically just setting up our function. We're allowing it to interact with the HTML. And what it's going to do is when you click the button, the message button, it's going to run our function, which we're going to start writing, of play. Okay, so now what that's going to do is it's actually going to do something as far as your rock, paper, scissors. Well, it doesn't really do anything now, but it does make it so that when you click the message button, it does something. Well, not really, but it thinks it's doing something. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to put in a couple things to interact with the user. It doesn't do us a lot of good to write a program if it doesn't interact with the user. So first of all, we're going to put in a variable of user choice, and we're going to have it pull up as a prompt. And in that prompt, we're going to be doing, just put in a simple thing of, do you choose rock, paper, or scissors? Close that, and you can actually see that it is going to start doing something now. So I'll click play, pulls up a little thing that says, do you choose rock, paper, or scissors? And we'll put in rock, and it doesn't do anything else. But at least we're doing something now. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to have the computer make a choice. Now, we don't obviously want the user to be able to put in this choice, otherwise they'd win all the time because we all like to win. So I'm going to teach you a quick little function that we're going to put in here in the variable, and basically what it's going to do is it's going to run math.random, and then we're not going to put any other variables inside of that right now. And so you know, basically what that does is it's going to tell the computer to generate a random number between 0 and 1. So it'll be in a decimal format. And that's how we're going to use to choose our rock, paper, and scissors. And so basically the way that's going to work is we're going to tell the computer that if it's lower than a certain number, it's going to choose rock, and if it's between a different number, it's going to choose paper, and if it's else, it's just going to choose scissors. So to make that work, we're going to put in an if statement, and we're going to call computer choice, and we're going to set if computer choice is less than 0.34, then we're going to make the variable of comp choice, and we're going to have that equal to rock. So there's part of it. Now we also need the rest of it, so let's do an else if of computer choice is greater than 0.34 and computer choice is less than 0.67, then a var of comp choice, and please notice that I am using comp choice, not computer choice. We're just putting in an extra variable. Technically, you could reset computer choice to the word if you'd like. I just chose to call a different variable at this time. Originally, I did that because I was testing it and I wanted to make sure that it's pulling up the right numbers. And it is also kind of nice if you could want it so you can put on the output of what number did it actually pull, and then it also gives you what it's telling you. So if the computer choice is greater than 0.34 and computer choice is less than 0.67, we're going to set it equal to paper. And then lastly, we're going to need to do our else statement. Basically, if anything else. then have the var of comp choice equal to scissors. Okay, so let's just put in a little bit of documentation so that we know that what we're doing so far. And we'll just call this set computers choice. Okay. Now the last thing that we need to do is we need to set our different conditions. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set our different conditions of the way things work. Now, first of all, if you'd like to test what you've done so far, you can just put up a little thing that says alert of comp choice. And it's probably not a bad idea to test it real quick just to make sure everything's running right. So you can click play, and we're going to choose rock, and then it's going to tell you that the computer also chose rock. And if we click it again, it should choose something else. We'll put in rock again. Uh-oh. Looks like something didn't work. Okay, so that tells me that most likely something broke after rock. Okay, so we can look here real quick and we do, let's see, else if. Yep, there's our problem right there. I spelled computer wrong. So else if computer choice is greater than 0.304 and computer choice is less than 0.67, and then we'll set the var of comp choice to paper, else a var of comp choice equals scissors. So that should work now. Let's test it real quick. Yay, it's choosing scissors. Let's see if we can get it to choose paper. There we go. Okay, so now we know that everything works because it's chosen rock, paper, and scissors. So let's just comment that back out just so that it doesn't come up, but if we need to test again, we can use it. Okay, so the first thing let's do is let's code our draw conditions. And our draw conditions is of course, if you pick rock and the computer picks rock, then it's going to tell you that it's a draw. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to do this with a series of if statements. So we're going to put in if user choice, I think I spelled that wrong. Nope, I didn't. Is equal to rock and comp choice is equal to rock. Then we want to put out the result of var equals result of a string called draw. Okay, now you probably can get a good idea of where this is going from here. So now we're going to do an else if statement that says if the user choice is equal to paper, and comp choice is also equal to paper, then make var result equal draw. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of copy and paste on here on the last one, primarily just to save a little bit of time on the video. I would recommend for you, though, to write it out just so that you have a bit more experience. Repetition helps you create better code because you'll get it in your head better. So the last one we're just going to put in is scissors and scissors. And then of course we'll put in our var result equals draw. Okay, so there's our draw conditions. Now lastly, let's do win conditions. Sorry, not lastly, but next let's do win conditions. Now, like I said, I think it would be better for you to write them out, so feel free to pause the video, but I'm going to do a little bit of copy and paste real quick, just so we can keep the video a little bit shorter. So in this one we're going to do else if user picks rock, and we're going to change this to scissors. And like I said, make sure you spell everything right so you don't mix it up. Then we're going to put in condition equals win. If the user chooses paper and the computer chooses rock, then you win. And lastly, if the user chooses scissors but the computer chooses paper, then the user also wins. Okay, next let's do the lose conditions. So if the user chooses scissors, and the computer chooses rock, then we have a result of lose. Else if the user chooses rock and the comp choose is paper, that's also a lose condition. And lastly, if the user choice is paper and the computer choice is scissors, then we also have a lose condition. Okay, now I'm going to do something real quick in here just to help with troubleshooting. And this is mostly just in case we have a problem. I'm going to choose this take this last statement, and I'm going to tune it into, instead of an else, I'm going to make it an else if. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to add one last condition to the end that I'm kind of putting separate, and the reason why I'm putting it separate is we're going to be using this primarily for troubleshooting in case we spell something wrong or something goes wrong. We're going to put in the condition else and then put in var of result equals not yet set. And that's just a key phrase for us to know that if for some reason something went wrong somewhere in our code and it comes out, it's going to, and something isn't set, basically if the result doesn't get set somewhere in those conditions, it's going to put out something for us so that we know that it didn't get set instead of just breaking the code. And it's going to put in there a little statement that says it didn't get set. Okay, and then lastly, we need it to actually alert the user of whether or not they won or not. So we're going to code in an alert, and we're going to put in you chose, put in a space, because that's where JavaScript is going to accept the white spaces in there, and then concatenate. If basically concatenate, all that's doing is we're putting in a plus, and it's telling as it outputs to put everything together. We're going to tell it to concatenate and then add in the string the user choice, put in some more string. We're going to put in a period, 2 spaces. The computer chose, and then have it put out comp choice. Put in another period, and you result. Put in another string, period, double space. Would you like to play again? And then, of course, close it. And let's see if it works. So let's run it, click to play. Uh-oh, it didn't work. So something is broken. So let's look over our code real quick. We know that it worked at this point. Okay, I see what we did wrong. We had a bit of an error in our else if because we were basically telling the computer if this and then else, everything else is supposed to do something. And then we started an if statement again that's going on with the same stuff. So what we need to do real quick is we need to change this to an else if, as well as this to an else if. Okay, also with our else if, we need to make all of these else ifs. We're basically just making one big huge statement and we just need to separate them. Well, let's run. Okay, looks like that's working. You lose. Our lose conditions are working, and come on. It does not want to choose a draw condition. There we go. You draw. Okay. Now there's one more thing that we need to fix right here. He says you and then draw is both in the same thing. So let's go down and look at that. There it should be. Add that. Run it one more time. You chose rock. The computer chose paper. You lose. Would you like to play again? Okay, so that's all working. So let's comment out our little alert on the computer choice. We don't really need to know. If you want to leave that in, that's fine. And so there's our quick program on how to have the computer play rock, paper, scissors with you.